There's a popular phrase that's often used. If you love something, let it go. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back to you. It's a beautiful philosophy that can be attributed to many aspects of people's lives. It's about how good things can come into our lives and bring us so much happiness. But sometimes we need to let those things go so that way we can make room for things that are better suited for us. And well, there's a lot of movie and TV franchises that just need to let some stuff go. Too much of anything is not good for you. Hell, you could technically drown yourself if you drink too much water. Shredded cheese on pasta is pretty good, but if you don't tell that waiter when, well, you just create a mess. You ever just had like so much money that you don't even know what to do with, and people start treating you different, and they look at you and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing, and they're like, wow, you have so much money, we're gonna treat you different. Yeah, that hasn't happened to me either. Sometimes too much of something is just bad, and that's very prevalent for your favorite movie franchises. Marvel, Star Wars, Fast and Furious, James Bond, Harry Potter, the Minions. There are a plethora of movie franchises spanning decades that have left an impact on entertainment and pop culture. The memories that are associated with the most popular movies ever stand the test of time. Captain America holding Thor's hammer. I am your father. I'm Batman. I'll be back. Buzz, look at Alien! Sometimes it's okay to keep a franchise going, you know, to expand on character development, plot, and world building. But sometimes it's just unnecessary. I mean, why is an 81-year-old Harrison Ford reprising the role of Indiana Jones? I'm supposed to believe Grandpa over here is supposed to still have that fight that he used to have? Oh, how long ago was that? 41 years ago? When I was 11, I would look at my Vietnam veteran grandpa and think, I could probably take him. He was in the military. I'm supposed to believe this dude that's good at finding treasure is holding his own against armed forces? How fast and furious can we possibly get? 10? And it's not even stopping? I'm all for family and whatnot, but if you've ever been to a family reunion, you know after a while you really just want to go home. I'm sick of talking to my third aunt of the day about what I studied in school. I want to go home. Why is Michael Myers still trying to kill this woman? It has been 44 years. You still haven't killed her? That is a skill issue, my guy. The mission is impossible. Why do you keep trying it again? And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. The mission is impossible. How could Jigsaw still be doing this bullshit? He died 10 movies ago. So I guess the question I ask is, when is it okay to end a franchise? When should we look at a thing that's doing great and is firing on all cylinders? How do we look at something that's making a lot of money and is engaging to the audience? We look at all of that and we leave the table while the getting is good. Because, well, if you stay too long, the house always wins. There's two main franchises that I'm going to focus on in this video. So let's start with... I grew up a mega fan of Star Wars. The prequels were being released when I was born, and I grew up in this exciting time for Star Wars. I have vivid memories of playing Lego Star Wars on my GameCube, in which I didn't know that you could turn the GameCube off and have your game data saved. So for approximately 3 to 4 weeks, I kept that GameCube on, so that way my Lego Star Wars save data wasn't lost to the ether. The thing was heating up like the oven in an old Italian restaurant that you put pizzas in for like 2 minutes and it comes out completely cooked. So Star Wars as you know it is one of, if not the biggest movie franchise that's out there. You have the original trilogy being regarded as instant classics, and then many, many years later, we have the prequels. These movies built upon the original trilogy and honestly reinvented Star Wars in many ways. You might not like these movies, trust me, I understand.
I don't like sand.
Are you an angel?
Public credits? We public credits are no good out here.
It's treason, then.
From the moment I met you, all those years ago, not a day has gone by when I even thought of you. I'm haunted by the kiss.
Do I look like...
But what it made was something completely new and exciting for Star Wars fans to latch onto. And past the movies, other entities were able to go and build upon what the prequels established. And then for a while, there wasn't much Star Wars stuff going on. No movies, no nothing. And then eventually came... Excuse me? The Force Awakens was massive at the time. It was the first Star Wars movie in a decade plus, and a lot of fan favorite characters were coming back to reprise their role. And this leads to my first point about franchises going on for a little bit too long. Rehashing. Force Awakens introduces a lot of interesting characters and concepts, but it really puts that stuff on the back burner for old fan favorites and classic story structure. This movie is regarded as a new age, new hope. And it's not bad in doing that, but it does kind of leave you like, hey, that's what that was, I guess. It doesn't help that the next movie, The Last Jedi, is an absolute mess.
Now I gotta fucking shake your hand. Fuck you.
It looks at everything The Force Awakens establishes and goes, nah. Let's just try some other stuff. Let's have the whole B plot of the movie be about the most boring chase scene that you've ever seen in your entire life. You could get two snails on hot asphalt racing each other and it would be more exciting than this thing. Some of The Last Jedi I actually really like. I think the Luke stuff is interesting. Kylo Ren is good in the movie. But let's be honest, it's not good. And the second main problem that arises when it comes to these franchises that keep on going on is that they don't plan things out. With The Last Jedi, you look at it and you're like, is there a blind elderly dog driving this car? Why is everything a mess? Well, it doesn't help that the director for the second movie is not the same director as the one for the first movie. And well, it doesn't get much better because the next movie, The Rise of Skywalker, is the biggest cinematic poop stain out there.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
I mean, what else is there to say?
They fly now!
This trilogy is the epitome of a waitress on her first week at the job, getting a large party and putting all them drinks on that tray and trying her best to make it over to that table, and she can't make it. She doesn't know what she's doing, so she drops all of the drinks on the floor. The problem with the sequels is that they made a trilogy of movies in a franchise that is beloved by many people, and they didn't know what they were trying to do with it. There's no coherent plan or storytelling being told throughout these three movies. If you don't believe me, just look at every actor that was pretty much in the movies.
How did you guys reminisce?
I said, you guys, I have a very bad feeling about this.
What was your reaction? What was the face you made when the credits rolled? What was your face?
You guys had the opportunity to continue your character stories on a Disney Plus series. Would you take it?
Nope.
I fucking love you. And you get $3 million an episode.
Cashing in my chips.
What was your reaction to the end of the movie? But don't use words, okay? I'm gonna count you in 3, 2, 1.
But since we've had the sequel trilogy that left a rather sore taste in people's mouths, we've had Star Wars Disney Plus shows that have been the main Star Wars medium since The Rise of Skywalker. Been The Mandalorian, Andor, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and the Book of Boba Fett. And some of these are and some of these are These shows are kind of scattered around and don't really tie in all too much. They're kind of just these cool Star Wars stories that people throw around and like, that'd be a kind of a cool show. And then they just decided to make the show. It's a very anthology approach. Because, well, you don't really need to see this in order to understand this. But, well, you need to see this in order to understand this. You don't need to see this to understand this. But it's complicated. And, well, it seems like Star Wars is going to keep this approach. Because for the future slate of Star Wars stuff, it's kind of all over the place. The Skeleton Crew, I don't know what that is. The Acolyte, which is set 100 years before Episode 1. Which sounds interesting. I hope that they build upon it. There's The Mandalorian Season 4, Andor Season 2, Bad Batch Season 3. There's a movie which ties in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett. There's a Rey movie that's in production, which is incredibly surprising given the reception of the sequel trilogy. And a Lando movie, because, well, why the hell not? As you could tell, there's not a lot of direction going on when it comes to these movies, which is disappointing because the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, although flawed in many ways, was building a coherent story that they were trying to tell. If I was the CEO of Star Wars, I'm not qualified in any which way, but if I was, I think what Star Wars would benefit from tremendously is if they just went all the way back in time to the Old Republic. If you are a real OG Star Wars fan, you vividly remember the countless Old Republic trailers that have dropped throughout the years, and seeing these trailers and being so unbelievably hyped, only to see that this is the gameplay for these games.
Oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
But a movie trilogy of this would be the best thing for Star Wars. It would rejuvenate the fan base, and it would make people excited about what Star Wars has to offer. Okay, I'm gonna be so honest with you guys, because in a video like this, I feel as though you deserve my honesty, okay? I haven't cared for the MCU since Endgame. Let me get the applesauce and the pacifier for all you little babies. Why don't I pick you up and put you in your little baby crib? You little baby. I mean, can you blame me? I watched a movie like this and was just like, okay, that's the best that this franchise is gonna offer. I've mentally checked out. That's it. I'll see you guys later. That's all, bitch! But the reason why the MCU kept going on is incredibly simple, and it's the main motivator for all of these franchises to keep going. Money. You don't just make billions of dollars throughout all these movies and just go, well, the story seems to have come to a respectful conclusion. Maybe in a few years we'll come back to this whole shindig and try it out again with some new cool stuff. No, they don't do that. You just reach the highest high of any movie ever. And you're probably gonna sit there and be like, well, Avatar actually is the highest grossing movie ever. Shut up, you blue nerd. Nobody asked for your opinion on anything. But it would have been a good idea to give the MCU a little bit of a break. But they didn't do that. In fact, the MCU actually doubled down on adding more projects to the MCU. They came in the form of their TV shows on Disney+. Loki, WandaVision, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel. Probably heard a few of these shows and were like, holy shit, I forgot about that. And that makes sense, because most of them are completely forgettable. Loki is renowned as being the best of this bunch, and WandaVision has some nice highs, but for the most part, these shows are bland. Actually kind of terrible.
To be fair, I thought I was dating Megan Thee Stallion.
Sorry, you thought you were dating Megan Thee Stallion? That's right. There's only one Megan Thee Stallion.
What am I watching?
And you see that list of TV shows and you're like, huh, that's a good amount of projects. That's actually a lot of projects. I doubt they have like a lot of movies that they've released. Do I have some news for you? They got Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals? What were they doing with Eternals? Do you know that they haven't addressed this thing once in any project in the MCU since it happened? It's just been sitting there in the middle of the ocean collecting dust. What were they doing with that thing? Spider-Man, Far From Home. Spider-Man, No Way Home. Doctor Strange and the Multi-Madney, Thor, Live, Laugh, Love, Black Panther, Forever and Ever, Ant-Man and the Ant Dance, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And the Marvels. And these movies, for the most part, are far from great. And they are worse than bad in a way, because most of them are just mid. They aren't capturing the essence, really, of what the Marvel movies used to be. And people aren't interested in these movies as much as they used to be. I'm not saying that because I'm not as interested in them anymore. I'm saying that because people aren't going to see them as much as they used to. If you compare the box office of these movies and compare it to the box office of these movies, it's like putting the 2017 Golden State Warriors up against the local high school basketball team. It's not even close. So where do we go from here? Well, the big plan for the MCU was for the Avengers, which is this accumulation of heroes, which seems as threatening as the Paw Patrol. And they were gonna fight Kang, which was being played by Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors had a real big oopsies. Jonathan Majors got fired from Marvel, which leads the role of Kang, the whole thing they were building towards, to go down the cinematic shit.
Oh, that's real nice.
Now, they are definitely able to recast the role. It's not impossible, considering that they could just lead into the multiverse thing that they have going on. But if we're being incredibly honest, these guys leading the Avengers is not exactly piquing my interest. There's talks of having the X-Men in the MCU, the Fantastic Four. Hell, there's rumors the original cast returning into the MCU. It's a mess! If you want my opinion on what they should do, too bad, I don't know. I don't get paid to make those decisions. But what I do know is they're gonna make a lot of these movies and a lot of these TV shows till the wheels fall off. And it's for one simple reason, really, and it's the main point that I'm gonna close out in this video. Greed. I mean, duh. These movies make a lot of money. They're gonna make the shows, the movies, the toys, the theme parks, the commercials. And the thing is, it's not always gonna be bad. People love these titles for a reason. Franchises are obviously going to be a part of the media we consume. They are great. The problem arises, though, when new exciting titles don't get the same funding as these rehashings do. You might often hear people saying things like, oh,
every movie is a sequel nowadays. Every movie is a reboot.
And actually, that's not the case. There are so many new movies that are released all the time. It's just that you never hear about all of them, because if they don't have an A-list actor or are so phenomenally crazy, you're just not gonna hear about it. When do you end a franchise? Well, it's probably when the focus isn't on making something that will resonate and last with people, but instead about making a monetary gain for the moment. If you squeeze a flower too hard, you crush it, and it loses its beauty. So sometimes we have to let that flower go and let it be as it is, so that way it can bloom and be as beautiful as it's meant to be. And maybe after a while, we can come back to it and admire that flower in all its beauty.